Welcome to our introductory training video for the MQB3, a three-phase power supply that is used to do function testing for three-phase meters. It basically powers up from the wall. It plugs in, there's a plug in the back that plugs into the wall, so any 120 volt 10 amp outlet will suffice. And so basically, we'll power this down real quick to show how the order of powering it up. So when you plug it in, the first thing to do is to turn the main power switch on, which is here. There's also some convenience outlets here, once powered up, that will power up your laptop or any small device you have nearby. There's also a convenience port for Ethernet if we need to do servicing, or if there's waveform programming, which we'll do in the future. So power up the main board. This powers up the basic part of the unit, but not the main processor unit, which is powered up on this switch here. So we'll turn this on, it'll start running the program. And the board consists of three modules. This is your main module here, where all the main amplifier and driving electronics is here. And then you have two slave units. I'll talk briefly about the sockets, which are motor driven and basically mostly automatic. You have a meter release and meter insertion button here. So right now, with no meter installed, the light is out, the jaws are open. So it can operate manually by pressing a button. You can see the jaws closed, but it also has automatic detection that when you put a bypass or a meter in and it depresses the sensing buttons here, it will close automatically. There you go. And then the light will blink and now it's closed. So the same thing with the meter. Line it up, push it in. Very simple, works great. So in order to run a meter, you need to have all the sockets because the current circuit feeds all three sockets simultaneously, and each one has its own voltage control, so you can run disconnect tests on separate ones, as we'll get into later. Now you go to the main menu here, this is your main display, and these function keys here are correlated with various things. So here you have your manual drive screen, your test screen, and here's a setup where you can get information and do some, we do some calibration from it. So basically we're going to work from the manual test screen first. So if you press F1, it'll go into the manual drive, and here you'll see all the different boxes for your meter form, your services, the different voltages. Most of these are filled in automatically by form. So if you select 1S, it automatically fills in 120, 15 amps. These are the most common settings. But if you want to do 30 amps, or if you have a 240 volt for some reason, you can always manually change these parameters. So right now we have a form 9, and I'll show you how this works. So the form is always highlighted by default. So I can either type in 9, like that, or I can go back to 1, or I can use the arrow key to scroll. And you'll see that all these forms come up automatically. When I get to 9, there, it's automatically form 9. It comes to a Y. You can change the services. There are various services allowed. I won't get into it in too depth here, but there are various services allowed for a 5S meter, for a 2S meter, for a 9S meter. The default is a 4-wire Y. But if you want to highlight, and the way to change the field is to press these side arrow keys here. You go to the 4-wire Y, and press down, it becomes a 4-wire delta. And I will show you some vector diagrams that show you the different supplies and how they're configured, and this is all automatically. So by selecting a 4-wire Y, we can turn voltage on. This will turn only voltage on, and it'll turn voltage on all three phases. Voltage on. And now there's a load button. You can turn load on. Automatically, this is a form 9. It selects a transformer rated current of 2.5 amps. If you were in a self-contained meter, it most likely would be 30 amps or default. So now I can turn load on. So in order to view the active readings, you can press the stats key, and it'll show you actively what's what is present on each stator. There you have the 119, 120, 120.1, all your currents, the various phase angle relationships. So I will show you basically to actually see what the meter is. We have a 32 com here, and I'm going to pull up the meter vectors, phasers, they actually call them. And we will be able to see instantaneously what the meter is saying. So here you can see the voltage and the current of the meter, and it's in a Y configuration, so the voltages and currents are in line, 120 degrees out in phase with each other. So the way to go to the next higher screen is always this arrow key. This backs out to the next screen. So now if I want to change to supply to a delta, I can turn load off and voltage off and change 4-wire Y to a delta and energize the voltage, energize the current. I can stats, new thing, you can see if we, so now it is updated and you have the vectors of a delta where the voltages are 180 out, A to B, the wobble leg, C is this way, and the currents are in a Y configuration. So this actually powers the meter the way it is out on the line, and you can power up all the various services. You can even change your phase angle relationships if you want to get into that. So there's total control of all current, amplitude, phases via software. And so this thing will do 60 to 480 volts, 10 milliamps up to 50 amps in virtually any configuration, all automatically controlled. So you can do this same thing with almost any form, but I'll show you the most common form, or form 2, and we can run some disconnect tests. Okay, so we're doing the disconnect test, and in here I have a Landis & Gyr form 2S meter along with the 1132 software, and I'll open up to the disconnect function. So now I'm going to put the machine in disconnect screen from the main menu tests, F4 disconnect, and then the form, it'll be highlighted on the form, go to form 2S. The current is set up to be 30 amps already. If you wanted something, you can press current and change it. This is fine. So power on. Power comes on the meter. And now we're going to establish communication with the meter. So we've established communication with the meter. The state of the back voltage is here. The switch is closed. The disconnect is closed. On the meter, we can enable current, refresh, and verify that there's current on the meter. So we can open up the meter with load on the meter, and we will do this via the software here. So we'll go to open. As you can see, now that the disconnect is closed, you have jaw 2 hot, jaw 4 hot, and when the switch opens, those jaws will go cold. Now you see the power has come off both of those jaws. This will indicate that the disconnect switch is open. And if we chose to, we could close it now. Well, there's a feature that we want to check, and that is where there's a back voltage. It will not close on it. So I'm going to enable the back voltage. You'll see the jaws will go hot because now it's simulated that the customer has put a generator or maybe an extension cord from their neighbor and is now applying their own power there. So this circuitry in the meter will see this, and if you try to close on it, it rejects it and says no, there's a back voltage. So now I can disable the back voltage. You'll see it'll return to the state that it would normally be in, where both the load side jaws are cold. So now we can retry to connect. So we hit close. Now it closes normally. The jaws go hot through being connected to the switch that's inside the meter. And now we see, and we can enable current again. And we have current. And now the customer is back in service. So that would be a successful disconnect test. And as always, when you move out of the screen, backwards. And if you want to go back into disconnect, you can do like your other forms. Maybe there's something I haven't shown you that you can change current. If you want to do 30 amps or you can do 50 amps, you can just type in These functions over here are also highlighted. They will highlight a certain feature on the main screen and on this screen. So if I want to do current, I just press this one. And then if I want to do 15, press it 15. Now when I enable current, it'll be 15 amps on this meter. So we'll go out of this. I'll show this back on the main screen. So always when you want to go to the higher menu, press this back key here. So then we go to the next one, and you're back to the manual screen. So for the Form 2S, go manual, press Form here. We get 2, press 2. If we want to do a voltage. Now the way this does, this is actually a 3-wire. So it shows 120 and 120. And basically it shows 120 this way, 120 that way. So it's actually a 240, but it measures it as two 120s. But if you look, you will see that there's 240 in here. And you can also press load on. And if you go to stats, you can see, and you can see the meters going forward. So that's basically the quick operational video of this. Once again, you can go back to these functions here. So we go back to the main screen. If we want to change direction, we can change direction of a phase to 180 on here. And 180 and 0, 180 here. Now we'll be able to see that the meter is going backwards. We've changed direction of both of the phases. So you can control each phase individually. You can change the various phase angles. You can change the direction. You can change the voltage. So you can basically you can change every aspect of the meter power parameters through the screen.